So, yeah, as I was saying, my heart for ministry really just started when I was pastoring, and the focus of my particular ministry was really about trying to better understand how to run church, right? I recognized early on that it wasn't just about me standing up and preaching on Saturday morning, but there's really like a business side to church and shaping a church, growing a church, helping a church really come to understand who they are and the direction that they're going. And so I went and I had an opportunity to pastor in Chattanooga. I went and got my MBA to better understand the business side. That opened up an opportunity for me to serve as executive pastor at Mount Rubidoux under Michael Kelly, and had a great time there. But even at Mount Rubidoux, while we had our spreadsheets and our budgets and our org charts and how everything was going well, I just also had this empty feeling like, man, we're still missing something. And that's when I started to better understand that the culture side of an organization and the culture side of a business and the culture side of a a church. And so I really started to dive into understanding, like, okay, how is a culture shaped? What role does leadership have in shaping a culture? Because some of you all can understand this with me, is that you look at your church and you can say, or you look at your organization, you look at your business and you can say, wow, we have a great product, we have great people, we have great services, we have a lot of potential, but something is just off with our culture. And I can't really put my finger on it. And you know that is that discrepancy, or that feeling that you're feeling, is really preventing you from really moving forward. For some of you all, it may be more subtle. For others of you all, it may be more pronounced, but you just know that something is off. And so I actually went back to school because I wanted to better understand leadership and culture. And so currently I'm in a doctoral program, specifically looking at organizational behavior in the School of Psychology at Claremont Graduate University. And I'm really just trying to build out an understanding of culture, leadership, vision. How do we actually move our organizations forward? I believe that there are so many organizations that have so much potential to really impact and change the world. The church, albeit number one, but other local nonprofits and businesses and even healthcare clinics and community agencies. We all, I believe, have been designed in order to really help move the needle in the lives of people's life, so that we can have justice for everyone, so that we can have, so we can get rid of certain disparities in our community, so that we can really create an environment where our kids can grow and thrive and where the needs of our community are met. But that won't happen without strong leadership. That won't happen without strong culture. Our organizations have to be strong. And so today I want to just talk with you for a few moments about navigating vision in changing times. And obviously, I don't know if anyone had a crystal ball and saw this thing, the pandemic happening. I mean, we're really experiencing two pandemics, one with COVID and then another with everything that's happening with the race relations and the social justice issues in our country. And it's really created this perfect storm where people are hurting. And because they're hurting financially, they're hurting emotionally. A lot of them are hurting physically. Their bodies are sick because of the COVID virus. Because of this, I believe that what we need now are leaders to rise up who have a very clear vision, a very clear understanding of what needs to happen, both on a local level. When I say local level, I'm being like the local church, but then also in our businesses, in the marketplace. I was just talking to, so I attend a CrossFit box here in Riverside, and the CrossFit box that I went to, the owner of the box called me today, and a white man, and he was just like, you know what, Seth, I'm just trying to get a better understanding of what's going on from your perspective as a Black man in the society with everything that's happening. You know, how are you feeling? As a white man, how should I be feeling? What should I be doing? I want to be sensitive. I want to help, but I don't know where to start. And I just so appreciated his phone call, because what it let me know is that he, as an entrepreneur, business owner in Riverside, he is understanding that something is going on. Well, we know something has always been going on, but it just really, as of this last week and a half, has really hit the fan. And so something is really going on in our country and our communities. And he, as a business owner, he's saying, how do I navigate this space? How do I still provide a good service to my clients, but am not tone deaf? I don't stick my head in the sand. I'm aware of the times that we're living in, and I'm using my privilege, my business, my resources to help the greater good, to help humanity move forward. And so all of us, whether you're church leaders or business leaders, entrepreneurs, all of us are still trying to figure that out. How do we navigate vision in changing times? And so I'm going to go through some slides that I prepared. I hope you're in a position where you can maybe take some notes on a notepad or on your phone at least. And let's walk through this. Let's walk through this together. So you may be familiar with this book here. I don't have the cover. It's called The Leadership Challenge by Coos and Posner. And it's a great book. Basically, it's like the leadership Bible, right? It really goes through and talks about what are some of the core principles for excellent leadership. And this book is largely a result of a survey that they put out probably 10, 20 years ago. And they've collected, I would imagine by now, over 100,000 results, data points, respondents. And what they discovered, let me see if I can get this moving forward here. There it is. They asked the question, what are the top 4 qualities that you most look for and admire in a leader? This is the question that's kind of the foundation of this book, The Leadership Challenge. They said, what are the 4 qualities that you most look for and admire in a leader? And here were the top 4. Number one, honesty. I think we could all probably assume that would be high on the list. Number 2, competence, right? They want you to be competent. Number 2. Number 3, inspiring, right? So we want you to be truthful, honest. We want you to be competent, meaning, you know what you're doing. We want you to be inspiring, meaning that you have the ability to speak into our heart, into our core, and to draw us forward. But then the 4th one, which I thought was kind of surprising, was they said the 4th one was, we want you to be forward looking. Now, I thought this was interesting, that when they asked over 100,000 people, what are the top 4 qualities of a leader that you're looking for? Number 4, and honestly, I'm not even sure if this is in particular order, but of the top 4, one of them was forward looking, that they want a leader who is able to look into the future and to see what is going on, and then to make decisions based off of what is going to potentially happen in the future. They basically said that we want a leader that has vision, right? Say that with me, vision. A little bit louder so I can hear you. Vision, right? We want a leader that has vision. Essentially, they're saying is that if leaders want to rely on others to follow them, the leader needs to tell them where they are going and get everyone heading in the same direction. This is at the heart of what they're talking about, is that we don't want leaders that are necessarily looking behind us. We don't want leaders that are necessarily being distracted by the latest fads, but we want leaders that are clear on where we're going. It's everything is, we're moving in the right direction. John Maxwell, who I'm sure we all know of as one of the foremost leadership gurus. I'm just waiting for Pierre to interview him on his podcast. John Maxwell says that leaders need to see more, and more before. Essentially, he's basically saying that leaders need to be able to see more than the average person, more than your followers. A leader needs to be able to see more, and a leader needs to be able to see more before. So not only do I need to be able to see farther than my followers, but I need to be able to see farther before my followers, before they see farther. Like, I need to be able to see more and more before. And when he said that, I was sitting at a conference. It was in Anaheim that he came and spoke. And he said that it really just resonated with me, because he's essentially saying that as leaders have to have vision. Leaders have to have vision. I'll never forget, I went to Oakwood University, then college. And when I was at Oakwood, I was a part of the National Association for Prevention of Starvation. You may be familiar with it if you're familiar with Oakwood. It's a student-led missionary organization that travels around the world and provides relief aid to kids who are in poverty. And so I was a part of this organization, and this organization had a marching band. And in the marching band, I played the saxophone, and we would go into neighborhoods, we would go into streets, we would go into communities, and we had trumpets, trombonists, saxophonists, the drums, and we would all be lining up, marching forward. And I will never forget, because as a saxophonist, saxophones never lead the band. Trumpets always lead the band. I'm a little bitter about that still, but they never let saxophonists lead. The trumpet was always the one who was out front leading. And so we would be in two rows right next to each other, marching down the street, and there was always one lead trumpeter, or is that what you call them, a trumpeter or trumpetist? Someone playing the trumpet. There was always one person playing the trumpet out in front of everyone else. And I don't know, y'all. I mean, I got to ask for forgiveness, but with this particular individual, whenever this particular individual led, it was the most frustrating experience. Not because he didn't know the songs, not because he didn't know, his notes and he was hitting the wrong notes. It's because he never was certain about where he was going. We would come to a four-way stop and he wouldn't know which way to go. And a lot of times the leader who was over us all, he would just say, just go out and let's go through the neighborhood. And so it was really up to that front person to decide the direction. But this particular individual, he would get to a four-way stop and he would just stand there like, should we go straight? Should we go right? Should we go left? And then sometimes he would start going straight, but then like in the middle of going straight, he would then like stop and turn and go left. And then worst case scenario, he even stop and then turn us around and go right, like in the middle of the four-way stop. Now, as someone who is kind of type A personality, kind of take charge personality, I'm in the background and I'm just like livid. I'm just like frustrated. I'm like, bro, like even if we're going in the wrong direction, just make a decision. Just lead us somewhere. What I could not stand is going in circles. And if you are leading an organization, you're leading your business, you're leading your family, you are leading your church, please do not lead them in circles. It is the most frustrating thing. And you probably followed some leaders who weren't sure where they were going, and you understand my frustration. But it is one of the most frustrating things to be following someone who doesn't know where they are going. So if you're a leader, what these results are showing us is that you have to be able to be, as a leader, forward looking. You have to be able to have vision. This book that I actually just stumbled upon, What You Don't Know About Leadership by Jeffrey Kotler, he says that vision is the initial task of leaders. I want to let that sink in. Vision is the initial task of leaders. That the reason why we're leaders is because we have a vision. Yes, we love people. Yes, we have empathy. Yes, we're able to connect with people, but if you have empathy, but you don't have vision, like no one's going to want to follow you. Everyone will love you, but you have to have vision. You have to have vision, right? We think about Dr. Martin Luther King, one of the greatest leaders that we have experienced in the modern world, at least. And the one thing he is known for is his vision. When he stood on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial and he declared, "I have a dream," he had vision. Right? And so when you think about leadership, I want you to couple leadership with vision. That, like, don't decouple them, don't divorce them, don't separate them. Leaders and vision go hand in hand. Yes, there are a number of other qualities and characteristics that make up leadership, but for this presentation, I really want to focus on the vision component. And so I'm talking about what we call visionary leadership. And when you think about visionary leadership, there are essentially three things that make a visionary leadership. Number one, you need to be able to bring direction. Direction says, where are we going? Or answers the question, where are we going? Number two, you bring alignment, which you basically answering the question, are all resources pointing in the right direction? And then number three, you bring about commitment. Is everyone on board? If you are a visionary leader, visionary leaders are able to generate direction, alignment, commitment, direction, alignment, commitment, direction, alignment, commitment. This is the heartbeat of a leader. This is the heartbeat of a visionary leader. Now, when we talk about vision, I just want to be very clear that unless you're an entrepreneur, right, this may not apply to you as much because generally entrepreneurs have an idea, they have a product that they want to create, right? There's some gadget, some widget that they feel like would add a lot of value to society. They have a passion. But if you are, let's say, leading an established organization, you're leading a church, you're a manager, you're a leader of their business, you're a departmental director, you're some type of administrator, to a large degree, this vision that leaders have is not birthed out of thin air. right? I want to be very clear. It is not something that you just come up with and you say, oh, this is a great idea. Let's do this, right? No, we're not talking about hot air balloon vision, right? We're talking about grounded, shared vision, that the vision that the leader has, it is vision that is birthed in, that is rooted in reality and is rooted in an awareness of what individuals that they are called to lead are going through. Right? So it is grounded and it is shared vision. And the best way I can illustrate this to you is this performance cycle that I think is just worth the price of admission to this conference. Like, to me, this is everything. If you can get this in your spirit and understand this, it will really set you free. And so what this performance cycle is about is this performance cycle basically says, like, yes, all of us, we want to get over here to mission, vision, core value, strategy. This is where we want to go, right? This is what actually moves the organization forward. This is the heartbeat of the organization. This is how we make money. This is how we meet our goals. This is how we grow. We have to have mission. We have to have a clear vision. We have to have core values, and we have to have a clear strategy. But before we can get here, mission, vision, core values, and strategies are based on stakeholder needs. I want to reiterate that your mission, vision, core value strategies are not just pulled out of thin air, but it is based off of what do my people need? What are the people wanting for? What is the problem that I feel God, or the problem that I feel I have been placed here to solve, right? So you want to be very clear on the stakeholders' needs. And so when we talk about vision, it is not just, hey guys, let's go to the moon because I think it'd be cool to go to the moon. No, we don't need any more cool endeavors when it comes to high-level leadership. We need leaders that are aware of what's going on in society, what's going on with their constituents, with their followers, with their congregation, with the marketplace. And we need leaders who are willing to say, I see the pain points, I see the frustration, I see how this situation could be better. Let me come up with a solution to this problem. So you can think about someone like Steve Jobs, who made this wonderful device called the iPhone. And if you are an Android, I'm praying for you. So this wonderful device called the iPhone. Like, now obviously no one came to Steve Jobs and said to him, hey Steve, we want a device where we can have our phones and our wallets and our emails and our computers all in one. Like, no one was thinking that far ahead. Right? No one was thinking about that, right? But Steve Jobs, aware of what was going on, aware of the trend, said, you know what? I see people walking around with these big Walkman, and then old school day with a big boom box on their shoulder, right? I see people walking around with this big boom box on their shoulder. He said, I see people walking around with Walkmans, and then we got these huge telephone like is this big, and they talking on this telephone. It's not accessible to everyone. Not everyone can afford it. Not everyone has space to carry it. And so Steve Jobs is like, you know what? I have a solution to that problem. I'm going to make a device where rather than you just having 12 songs on a CD, you're going to have 1,000 songs in the palm of your hand. Rather than you just having a phone that's only good for making phone calls, I'm going to give you a phone, a calculator, your email, internet browser, your checkbook, like whatever you want. I'm going to give you a device in the palm of your hand. So Steve is aware of what's going on in my community, what's going on around me, what's going on in the marketplace, what's going on in my congregation. Now let me lead them into where I think the future needs to go, right? And so your mission, your vision, your core values, your strategies are always rooted and based in your stakeholder needs. And then from there, you get to, okay, what systems and processes and methods, governance, structure, human resources, finance, operations, IT, all of that comes after that. What I find too many organizations doing is they allow the systems, processes, and methods to wag the vision tail. Let me say that again. Too many organizations allow finances. I was talking to a pastor today. Today. And they were talking to me about something they're trying to do in navigating this space, trying to get graphic designers and take their stuff online. And they took their request to the board, and their board's response to them was, can't afford it, which they probably really could afford it, but they were just like, oh, can't afford it. And they are allowing their finances to wag the vision tail, right? And what I'm trying to stress to you is that we cannot allow the finances to wag the vision, right? Vision drives the organization. Vision drives the finances and all of the above. And so when we talk about vision, and I'm mindful of my time, when we talk about vision, I want to give you some characteristics of vision. We're going to run through these real quick, and then we're going to talk about what vision looks like in these changing times. Number one, your vision should be challenging, right? Clearly coming up with an iPhone, and this is my resident phone, going from this to this was significantly challenging. Are y'all feeling me on this? Just put a thumbs up in the chat if you're feeling me, right? Going from this rotary, what was that? 90210 type of, old school, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, right? He had one of these phones. Like going from this to this, super challenging, but your vision should be challenging. Let me slow down and say that. Your vision should be challenging. If your vision isn't challenging, then what are you doing, right? Like if you're just trying to, and you're going to wonder why I have so many of these in my office. If we're just going from this to this, it's like, well, that's not challenging at all. Like that's not inspiring, right? This is going from this to this is not inspiring whatsoever, right? It's going from this to this that is now inspiring, right? And so your vision should be challenging. In fact, it said that, let me back up one. The greater the discrepancy between the vision and the status quo, the more motivated the followers are to work toward the vision. The greater the discrepancy between the vision, this thing right here, and the status quo, my old school Motorola phone, the greater the discrepancy, the more motivated the followers are to work toward the vision. What? You want to go to the moon? You want to do what? You want to send people into the moon to land on the moon? Like really? And the discrepancy between no one has ever broken the atmosphere before, no one's ever been to space before, and you want to put a man on the moon, that discrepancy created motivation for individuals to want to pursue it and to work toward it. So number one, your vision has to be challenging. Number two, and I'm going to run through these for the sake of time, your vision has to connect. It connects to the heart of the people that you are leading, right? It connects to people's hearts. It can't be so off course, so foreign that it doesn't speak their language, right? I mean, you can just talk right now and with the social unrest that we're going through. If you come to a protest and you say anything other than, ending, creating equality and ending police brutality, they ain't gonna hear a word you got to say, right? Your vision for the future, it has to connect to their hearts. We're going to fast forward through this. The third one, which I want to spend a little bit of time on, is your vision has to be clear, right? There is a lot of debate in academia as far as should a vision be abstract? Should a vision be concrete? Should a vision be pie in the sky? Should a vision be kind of like quantitative and qualitative? And I'm just of the opinion as a professional in this industry, vision industry, that your vision needs to be extremely clear. And when I say clear, it also needs to be extremely concrete. I'm just going to jump to that one. It needs to be extremely concrete, right? We need to be able to see it. Don't tell me, hey, Seth, come take a trip with me to the East Coast, right? That's too ambiguous. Say, Seth, come take a trip with me to Washington, D.C. to visit the White House, right? That's much more clear. Oh, okay, I can get down with that. I'll take a trip with you to Washington, D.C. to visit the White House. I'm not taking a trip with you if we talking about East Coast and we going to Maine, right? So your vision, it needs to be clear and it needs to be extremely concrete. I love how Michael Hyatt says it. He says, clarity breeds calm and clarity breeds confidence. If you're taking notes, I want you to write that down. In fact, just drop that in the chat for me if you're with me. Clarity breeds calm and clarity breeds confidence. The clearer your vision is, the more calm you will be able to instill in your people, and the more confidence your people will have in you, the leader, if it's clear. But if they can't see it, and if it doesn't make sense to them, then they're going to question and second guess your leadership, your integrity, your competence, your ability to lead the organization forward, and they will lose confidence in you. And so when you talk about, don't come to me if you're a church leader and I say, hey, where are you guys going? What's your vision? Don't tell me, we just trying to make disciples. Okay, that's good. You should be trying to make disciples, but that is so ambiguous, right? Don't come to me as a marketplace leader and I say, hey, man, where are you guys trying to go? Man, we just trying to make money. Like, what? Like, really? That's it? Like, you just want to make money? Like a marketplace leader telling me they just want to make money is no different than a church leader telling me they just want to make disciples. Like, it's so ambiguous. It's so like, what exactly does that mean? It needs to be clear. Listen, I'm not just trying to make disciples. I'm trying to reach, 5,000 of my friends in my church. Like, that's what we're trying to reach. I'm not trying to reach that person I don't know. I'm trying to reach every person who's on my Rolodex in my phone, right? Every person who's on my phone, I want to reach every person on my phone for Christ. Like, that is clear, right? It's super clear. If you're talking about you want to make money as a marketplace leader, like, no, like that to me is, totally off base. Now, making money is probably a part of the strategy so that you can reach your vision, but that cannot be the sum total of your vision. And so when I talk about how it needs to be clear, and it needs to be concrete, I'm really talking about the difference of vision and no vision. If you come and tell me that your vision is to make money or that your vision is to make disciples, then in my mind, I'm saying, okay, this person has no vision. You have no vision, right? You're just going, you're going in circles, right? You're just walking around the wilderness, right? You're just walking around. Vision is very clear. There's a very clear destination that you are trying to lead your organization to. So if I'm talking to my CrossFit coach and I'm consulting with him and he says, well, man, currently I got about 100 members in my gym, our monthly, revenue, our annual revenue, our budget is X amount. And then he says, man, my vision is to really, I want to grow to 200 members. I want to add another space because I'm really trying to transform the health. I'm really trying to decrease health disparities in the city of Riverside, so much so that I'm offering some super low rates, some subsidized rates. I'm actually trying to take my program into the inner city and get kids exposed to CrossFit. Now that's a vision. That is a vision I can get behind. If you come to me and you say, man, I'm trying to make disciples, like I'm already tuning you off. But if you come to me and you say, man, you know what? I'm trying to really impact this particular community. Like, here are the health disparities. Here's the poverty level. And we're trying to go in there and we want everyone to increase the literacy rate. We want people to become debt free. Like, we're trying to eliminate financial indebtedness in this zip code. Like, to me, that's a vision, right? It's very clear where you're going. Right. Unfortunately, and Pierre, you just tell me what I am with time, man. Shoot me a text or put it in the chat how much time I got. Unfortunately, a lot of our churches and businesses are like Carnival Cruise Lines. Carnival, who has this cruise out of Norfolk, Virginia, and is literally called the Cruise to Nowhere, where they are simply just spinning around in circles. They go out to the Atlantic. They have a good time. They're eating, they're drinking, all inclusive. They got some great music. They're dancing, they're with their family and friends. But the challenge with the reason why I'm personally challenged with this cruise is because they're going nowhere. They are going nowhere, right? I want to be on a cruise where there's a destination, right? We're not just going to be spinning out in the Atlantic. Like, there's a destination. We're taking a stop at the Bahamas, and then we're going down to Puerto Rico or to Dominican Republic, or we going somewhere and we getting off this ship, right? And I think a lot of our organizations and a lot of our businesses, a lot of our churches, we're just cruises to nowhere, right? We're providing a service, but there's really no destination that we're going for. And I believe as believers, as Christians, as men and women in the faith community, both marketplace and church, even if you are a marketplace entrepreneur, your vision, your mission should still be rooted in advancing the kingdom of heaven's agenda in your community through your business, right? So yeah, we want you to be profitable. We want you to make money, get to 6 or 7 figures, but also move the kingdom of heaven's agenda forward. And to do that, you have to have a vision. So we're talking about your vision needs to be challenging. It needs to connect to the heart of the people that you're leading. It needs to be clear. and it needs to be concrete. And when I say it needs to be concrete, I don't want you to miss this point. Concrete means it needs to be, you can plant roots on it, right? But concrete also means that it needs to be enduring. Let me say that again. Concrete means it needs to be enduring. That your vision is not something that is changing every other year. Your vision is not something that's changing every other 6 months. A lot of churches experience this. One pastor comes in, new pastor, new vision, right? And every 3 to 5 years, specifically within the Adventist faith tradition, every 3 to 5 years or 5 to 7 years, new pastor, new vision, right? And the members are just frustrated by it. And I get it, because you're coming in and you have gifts and you have abilities that you want to lead your church with. But a vision should be enduring. It should be able to stand the test of time. Let me just put a pin there. That your vision should not have to necessarily change or fluctuate drastically based off of things that are going on in the external environment. So a shifting vision erodes confidence in leadership and results in unnecessary cost. If your vision is always shifting and you're changing, 1 minute we're going here and then we switch. Well, actually we're going to go here, and actually we're going to switch and go here. It's something that's constantly shifting. Then it will erode confidence in leadership, and it results in unnecessary costs. And so my main point that I want you to get behind with this presentation is that vision is enduring. Strategy is changing. Vision is enduring. Strategy is changing. So my end goal is the same. However, because of the coronavirus, I recognize that I might not be able to get my end goal like this. I now have to get to my end goal like this, right? So my vision of decreasing the health disparities in my community is the same. But because of the coronavirus, now I can't have kids come in for one-on-one classes to my youth center. Now I have to take my youth center online. You see what I'm saying? Right? And a lot of times what we do is, as leaders, we marry and we merge and we conflate vision and strategy. So we conflate where I'm going with how I'm going to get there. You all have all been in a business meeting or a board meeting if you're a church leader, or I'm sure if you're a business leader, you've had conversations with your clients or with your board of directors, and you have thrown out there a compelling vision. Man, I want to create, no, it's this one. Man, I want to create a phone that will be all inclusive and have, calculator, phone, email, web browser. And you cast out this very compelling vision. And the first thing people say to you is what? Put it in the chat. Let me see if you know. What's the first thing? Put it in the chat. Real quick. We're almost out of time. Put it in the chat. What's the first thing they say to you? Man, I want to create this compelling vision. I got a dream from on high. I want to create this compelling vision. What's the first thing they say to you? Come on now, talk to me. How? Thank you very much, Miguel. Miguel, how? How are we going to get there? How are we going to get from here to here? How? And that's exactly the first thing. I tell them where we want to go, and their first response to me is, how are we going to get there? And if in their mind, they can't figure out how we're going to get there, then they don't want to get there. And what I try to encourage people is separate where we're going and how we'll get there, because how we're going to get there will possibly change. Strategies change, visions endure. I want you to get this in your spirit right now. Strategies change, visions endure. If I had time, I would go through each one of these corporations, organizations. You know each one of them, right? You already know where I'm going with this, right? All of these organizations, right? They conflated where we're going with how we're getting there. They married the two. They coupled them together, right? Blockbuster said we're delivering movies into homes, and they thought that their way of delivering their vision for delivering movies into homes was married to how we're going to deliver movies into homes through cassette tapes. Is it cassette tape? VHSs. That's what it is. VHSs. right? And they married the two. And so when Redbox came along, when Netflix came along, when all these other organizations came along that were still pushing the same vision, movies into homes, but had a different strategy, Blockbuster wasn't able to adjust. And if I had time, I'll go through each one of these. The most notable for me is Kodak, how Kodak actually had engineers who in their department who developed the digital camera, but Kodak thought it was going to cannibalize their film department. And so Kodak buried the digital camera in their research and development department, right? And as a result, ain't nobody buying Kodak cameras anymore. Nobody's buying them because they mixed up their goal, which is getting Americans to capture their family and friends through film. They married their vision and their strategy. And what I don't want you to do is I don't want you to marry your vision and your strategy. Now, you have to have a vision. Let me be very clear. And you also have to have a strategy. And let me just say this, without a vision, no strategy will save you, right? So if all we have is strategy, then we're just going in circles. We're a cruise to nowhere, right? So we have to have a vision, but we do not want our vision and our strategy to be married. So in the 6 minutes I got left, this is what you need. Every leader, marketplace, church leader, here, in my opinion, are the 4 essentials for organizational growth, church growth, marketplace growth, right? You have to have a vision. You have to have a plan that will, or strategy that will allow you to execute, that will allow you to accomplish that vision. You have to be able to execute that plan, and then you have to get feedback. And your feedback is of such a nature that it informs the plan. Feedback rarely informs the vision, because the vision is enduring. If your vision is clear enough and concrete enough, your vision is enduring, but feedback informs the plan. Feedback says, okay, we were headed on a road trip to DC from Riverside, but there's a weather storm blowing through Colorado. So rather than us going through Colorado, we're gonna go south and go through Arizona, right? DC is still the vision, the destination, but the feedback, the weather report, is informing us on how we go about accomplishing our vision, right? Now, obviously, someone drops a nuclear bomb on DC and DC no longer exists. Obviously, the vision would change, right? So at some point, this illustration does break down. My point is simply just to say that a lot of times we're quick to change the vision. And what I want you to understand is that the vision rarely changes. The vision rarely changes. The vision might grow, right? So his name is slipping me, but the CEO of Disney, I think the one who's just about to resign, if he hasn't already, like his vision for Disney was standing on the vision of the person who came before him. So visions can grow, but visions aren't necessarily changing or shifting largely. They're growing, they're expanding. You know, we've accomplished something, so we're going to the next, but visions aren't largely changing, right? And so a vision fundamentally asks the question, where are we going? And where are we going? We know that this question is not answered in a vacuum. It needs to be shared vision, grounded, shared vision. We want to hear our stakeholders' needs. Our strategy fundamentally answers the question of how are we going to get there, right? So this is the model that I use for my church and for when I do consulting, and I'm going to share it with you. And please take copious notes and implement it as you see fit. So essentially, you and I are standing on this dock right here. We're standing on the dock. I'm not sure if you can see my mouse, but we're standing on this dock, and where we're trying to go is to this mountaintop, right? You need to be very clear about what your mountaintop is. You need to be very clear on what your vision is, your end goal destination, right? And so our strategy basically says, okay, how are we going to get from where we're standing to where we're going? And so what I simply recommend is that you break this picture down into 4 quadrants. And these 4 quadrants are time bound. And so you say, okay, this becomes our 5 to 10 year. Then we have our 3 year. Then we have our 1 year. And then we have our 90 days. This is one compelling picture, our 5 to 10 year, one compelling picture. And then we have our 3 year, which basically says, here are the 4 things that we need to accomplish over the next 3 years in order to reach our mountaintop. Here's the one thing that we need to accomplish in 1 year that will help us reach our 3-year milestones. And then here's what we need to be focusing on. Here are the 4 things we need to be focusing on right now over the next 90 days, right? And so when you look at this really is super simple. This top row, 5 years, is our big, inspiring, strategic picture. From there, we go down to 4 tactical initiatives we need to complete in 3 years. And then we go down to 1 inspiring goal we want to accomplish in 1 year. And then we go down to 4 tactical initiatives we need to complete in 90 days. Let me leave this up just for a minute so I can make sure you get it in your spirit. And so when you think about this, this becomes both your vision. This is where we're going, and this is how we're going to get there. And obviously, it's going to be a lot more detailed than this, a lot more fleshed out than this, but this is just the bare bones, what's happening with us right now, right? Now, what I found is that organizations fit in one of 2 categories. Either they have extreme clarity about where they want to go, right? They know where they want to go, but they're not clear on what they need to do right now today. Or there's very little accountability about what they need to do right now today. And so they have a goal in mind, but they're also chasing all these other sub goals, which prevents them from ever reaching their main goal. So that's one type of organization. Another type of organization doesn't have a clear picture, and they're just chasing all of these little sub goals, right? They're just fighting fires. And so for you, you might say, man, the coronavirus hit. Okay, we need to go online. So now we go online, and we have our Zooms, we have our StreamYard, and we're doing our thing, but there's no big vision that us being online is pushing us towards, or it's working towards. We're just being online with the hope that one day churches will open back up and we can go back to where we came from with these churches. And what I'm saying to you is, like, yeah, you need to make adjustments in your strategy to what's going on in the external environment, but those adjustments that you're making need to be with the big picture in view. So I just want to share with you my church as my organization. So this is what we did, and you might not be able to see it because of the pictures there. I apologize about that. And so I'll give it to you this one, no picture. So we said, hey, we're trying to bring life and power to 5,000 people within our radius. This is our one-liner big vision, and obviously this is just a summary. We have a 2-page document that really details what it looks like, right? 1-line summary, Relove Church, life and power to 5,000 people within our radius. There's some internal language there. And then we said, okay, over the next 3 years, here are the 4 things that we need to do. Obviously, I'm just giving you the summary. We have more detail behind this. And then we said, in 1 year, this is what we need to do. And then in 90 days, this is what we need to do. Well, guess what, y'all? Yesterday, June 1st, we actually was the end of our 1 year. So we started this in June 1. We started this June 1, 2019. And so June 1, right, or May 30th, like June 1 of 2020 was the end of our 1 year. And so just yesterday, I met with my team. I said, hey guys, it's June 1st. How do we do with our 1 year goal? We did okay. We didn't quite get 75. I mean, we have a smaller church, about 150 people who attend. So we didn't quite get 75, but we got a good number. And we said, okay, based off of where we are right now with coronavirus and online church and everything, how are we going to get to our, what do we need to be doing right now to still reach our 5-year goal? Right. And so we started having a conversation. Well, what's our new 1 year? What do we need to be focusing on? And after we kind of wrestled and prayed about it, our whole focus as a team, as a staff team was, you know what, for the next year, we probably need to focus on taking all of our ministries online on a high level. We need to build out our online platform. We are of the opinion that online is going to become the new building. The same way that many of you all invest capital campaigns and tons of money and resources into your physical building, We said our online is becoming the new building. So for us, our 1 year is, in light of the coronavirus, our vision is still the same, but now our strategy is beginning to shift. We still want to bring life and power. We still trying to reach our friends and our family. That's our vision, our radius, our friends and our family. But now we got to think online. So let's begin to shift all of our content, all of our discipleship Bible studies, all of our everything. We're beginning to shift everything online, and not just online like me preaching from my phone, but like high quality online. And so today, on the phone with my web designer, on the phone with our tech guys, laying out a plan. Okay, if we want to take everything online, what does that look like? What does it look like to do VBS online? What does it look like to do all of these things online, and really making that the primary place where ministry takes place? So for me, and in close, I just want to say that at the end of the day, when you think about vision and vision, changing vision, navigating vision in changing times, number one, you have to be super clear on your vision. So if you don't have a vision, let's start there. But your vision should not be so fickle that a bump in the road throws you off course, right? Your vision should be far enough ahead that it's enduring and it's concrete, but your strategy is what's changing. And so you're constantly saying to yourself, okay, we still want to reach here. But what steps do we need to take now that the landscape has begun to change? I'm going to stop the share and invite Pierre to come back on. And if there's any questions, thoughts, I know I was pushing the time just a little bit. I apologize about that.
Man, listen, we didn't have enough time. I mean, you were just getting warm. There. And I just want to thank you for everything that you shared. Powerful, powerful stuff today. If you have a couple of questions, feel free to drop them in the Q&A. One of the questions I have for you, Pastor Seth, is you talked about vision enduring, strategy changing. What are some of the things that we can do as an organization or even as a leader in the transient nature of church leadership, or even some of our organizations where 3 to 5 years there's going to be a promotion? How do we maintain that sense with the change in leadership that we experience on a frequent basis?
Yeah, I was having a conversation with a pastor today about that. This person just inherited a new church, and they called me because hey, I need help with my vision. Where am I going? And my first question to them was, well, what vision is already there? Right? Let's not scrap that and use this toilet paper, right? And get rid of it. Let's see if we can get clarity on the vision that the previous pastor left you, and then see how you can use your gifts to help move that vision along, right? Now, obviously, all of us, both marketplace and church leaders, we want to be led by the Lord. And so the Lord tells us to go in a different direction, then obviously we go in a different direction. But I just think that we as church leaders have to understand, number one, I'm not going to be here forever. I'm a steward. I want to steward the vision that God has given these people, right? And so it's really a shift of mindset. Rather than God is giving me a vision for them, it's more so, God, what is your vision for them, and how can I help steward that vision along? It's no different than Moses and Joshua, right? That the vision for the children of Israel getting into the promised land was much bigger than Moses, right? Moses was just a steward of it during that season. And then when his time was up, he passed the baton to Joshua, and the vision continued. Now, obviously, I'm sure that Joshua had his own leadership style. He had his own way of doing things, but ultimately it was God's vision for the people. And so we want to be mindful, well, God, what is your vision for these people, and how can I be a steward of that vision during this time?
Man, talk to us for a few moments as it relates to traditions and practices, some of which organizations feel like they've been set in stone. Mm-hmm. And then trying to, as a leader, introduce this concept of we need to refocus or rediscover what our vision is, and how tradition and even the structure of what we're used to can either be a leverage point or an inhibitor of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's actually an entirely different presentation. I just did that presentation for the Bahamas this last weekend about tradition. And I think the reality is the same way we are prone to marry vision and strategy and kind of conflate the two. We are also prone to, within the church setting, we're prone to marry tradition and theology, right? And so when you marry tradition and theology, then how we do church becomes why we do church. And you have to really, through some crucial conversations and intentional teaching series with your church, you have to begin to decouple tradition and theology. Okay, this is what we believe the Word of God says. This is how we have carried out that our methodology for carrying out the Word of God, but this is really subject to change based off of time, place, location, and personal preference. That I know for a lot of church leaders is a difficult conversation to have. And if you're stepping into a mother church, an older church, or even a conservative type of church, you might have a most of your ministry might be trying to unwind and unthink that ideology and that philosophy of ministry. But the person who comes after you will thank you for it.
If you could give us your contact information and the type of work, the scope of work your organization does one more time.
Yeah, definitely. So you can find me on my website, Vision Clarity 360. That's visionclarity360.com. And what I primarily do is vision retreats, vision development. So helping you, coming alongside of your organization and helping you all figure out where you're going and how you're going to get there. I do leadership coaching. And so working with individuals, helping them do like a 360-degree assessment. If you want to grow as a leader, right? Here's a 360-degree assessment. Let's develop a leadership development plan based off of that assessment. And then I'm fortunate enough to do some life planning. I actually just started a cohort with about 6 individuals in it this last week. And I'm walking this group of 6 people kind of through their own life plan. You know, what is my vision? What is God's vision for my life? So the same thing that I would do for your organization or for your church, I also do for you as an individual, like helping you figure out what is my 5-year, 10-year, what is my 90-day, what should I be focusing on as an individual right now that will allow me to really maximize the gifts and the skills and the life that God has given me.
Listen, if you've enjoyed this presentation by Pastor Seth Yelorda, can you just put that in the chat? Hand clap, thank you.